Hi, Mark here from newhometricks.com, and today I want to talk a little bit about smart heating. Now, smart heating is probably one of the more practical areas of smart home technology because of its potential to actually save you money. If you can reduce the energy that you spend on heating, that's obviously going to lead to lower energy bills, and of course it's kinder to the environment. Now, it does this in a number of different ways. Smart heating systems can be aware of the weather, so they'll know exactly when to run the heating based on how cold it is outside. They might be aware of how well your home heats up when the heating is running to avoid things like temperature overshoot, for example. They might even be aware of whether a window is open, turning the heating down or even off completely if it notices that someone's opened a window. So there's a range of different ways that these systems can save money, and that can be very attractive if, like me, you're looking for ways to reduce your energy bills. There are lots of different ways that you can reduce your energy bills through better insulation, better double glazing, and of course maybe even get a new boiler that's more efficient. But these approaches can be quite expensive, and it can take quite a while to recoup your costs and start making a profit, as it were. Whereas with smart heating, the costs of these things doesn't necessarily have to be that high, and so the time required to actually start recouping the costs from that can be comparatively shorter. Now, there are lots of different smart heating systems out there, usually based around some kind of smart thermostat. There's open standards-based systems, things that are based around Z-Wave, for example, and then there's proprietary-based systems. Proprietary-based systems tend to be a bit more functional. It's a little bit like smart lighting. There generally seems to be a bit more that's going on there in the proprietary market. And of course, the most well-known of the smart thermostat systems out there is Nest. But there's lots of others, Tado, Evo Home, Hive. There's a lot of different systems out there that you can choose from now. So you're kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to the system that you might want to look at yourself. And of course, you'll want to evaluate what's best for you and what's going to work the best with your particular heating system. I've kind of whittled it down to two that I want to compare, and I've decided to look at Nest and Tado. Now, Nest, as I say, is probably one of the more popular and well-known smart thermostats and smart heating systems that are out there. It's hard to get away from Nest when you're looking at these kind of systems. The thermostat itself is visually very gorgeous, and that's because it's kind of based around having a hands-on approach with their system. It has a lot of those capabilities that I mentioned, weather awareness, understanding how well your home heats up, that kind of thing. But the kind of unique feature with Nest is that it's a learning thermostat. Now, what they mean by that is that you'll probably spend about the first week after installing it very hands-on with the thermostat itself. As mentioned, the design of it lends itself for that. It's got its own display built into the thermostat, it's got its own user interface that you can play around with. But the idea here is that you'll spend about the first week adjusting the temperature quite a lot. You'll be turning it up when you want it warmer, turning it down when you leave the house, these sort of things. You don't need to set your own schedule with Nest. You simply allow it to learn what you want and when you want it, and then it'll just kind of program itself. And in that regard, it'll try and optimize your heating to make sure that it only heats the home at just as much as is required to deliver the temperature that you prefer and the comfort level that you want. Tado is a little bit different. The approach with Tado is very much obvious again in the design of the thermostat. It's much more minimalist in its design, not necessarily unappealing, and some people might say that the minimalist look has an aesthetic all of its own. It certainly looks very clean and straightforward, but there's no real interface on the actual thermostat itself. You can turn the temperature up and down and make a few changes there, but pretty much everything with Tado is done using the app. With Tado, you do set your own schedule, you do set your own program for when the heating should run, but the unique feature with Tado is that it's location aware. Using your smartphone and the smartphone of other occupants of your home, it knows whether anybody's actually at home or not. If nobody's in, it won't run the heating during those schedules that you've activated. It knows that there's no one there and that there's therefore no point heating an empty home. But it's much more clever than a simple binary approach of home and away. It's also proximity aware. It notices if somebody's on their way home and then starts turning the heating up. Plus, if it's particularly cold, it won't necessarily leave the heating off entirely and therefore risk your pipes freezing over. So it's smarter than that. It has these intelligent capabilities built in, again, to try and optimize the heating so that it only runs just as much as is necessary to heat your home. This, of course, runs in stark contrast to the typical ways that you would control heating for your home. I've got a gas-fired combi boiler and central heating system. So that means we've got a system that circulates hot water through radiators in every room, and that's how we heat the home. And we've currently got simply a timer attached to the boiler, sometimes referred to as a programmer, so we control the heating by time of day. And then we've got thermostatic radiator valves attached to most of the radiators in the home to control temperature. By moving to a smart heating system, we add a whole range of additional metrics. Awareness of the weather, awareness of how quickly the home heats up. If we go with Nest, it's going to learn the preferred heating that we want. If we go with Tado, it's got very, very good location capabilities built in there. So we add a whole range of additional metrics to kind of optimize the heating and save energy. Now, looking at the different systems that are out there, I am kind of more drawn towards Tado. I do like the look of the location aware capabilities that they have, and they've also got their own range of smart thermostatic radiator valves, which Nest doesn't have at the moment. It is capable of working with third-party TRVs from what I've read, but with Tado, it's all part of the same system. So you can start with a smart thermostat, and then you can add smart thermostatic radiator valves over time, thus making things even more efficient, because you can optimize on a room-by-room basis when you want the heating to run and what temperature you want it at. So you've got a lot more control that you can achieve with Tado. So I think we're going to go with that system. We're going to go with the Tado approach. For us, that means we need to get a Tado smart heating starter kit that comes with the thermostat and the bridge for connecting it to the internet. It also means we need to get a Tado extension kit, and this is going to replace the timer programmer that's currently attached to the boiler. With those two components in place, we'll have our smart heating system and we'll be able to get going. And then over time, we'll replace our existing thermostatic radiator valves with Tado's smart thermostatic radiator valves to make the system even more efficient going forward. So next we'll do a unboxing video and of course a setup video and show you what you actually get with the Tado system and how easy it is to install. Of course, the approach that you might want to take may vary depending on the heating system that you've got. Tado and Nest will both support a wide variety of different heating systems, and you'll want to evaluate whether or not either one of these systems is right for you based on the current heating system that you've got, or maybe a future system that you're planning to install. And of course, if you're not confident installing these systems yourself, it's always worthwhile enlisting the help of a professional to make sure that this is done right. If you want to read more about my thought processes behind this and the systems that I've evaluated, as usual, I've written up a companion blog post. That's linked to in the description below, or you can look at the website, newhometricks.com. If you've liked this video, please share it. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.